Okay, this lesson is on 16.2 product of powers. So we've kind of talked a little bit about some of the key concepts from the last section. And essentially what you're going to be doing, let me just get this up and going, or what you need to know is that the product of the powers property says that to multiply powers with the same base, you add their exponents. That's really super important, okay, that you understand that you are going to add the exponents. So if I have 4 squared times 4 cubed, that becomes 4 times 2 plus 3 of your exponents. You take those two exponents, 2 and 3, you add them together, and then you get, then you get 4 to the 5th. I'm having problems today. Then you end up with 4 to the 5th. Okay? So to find a product of a power, you multiply the exponents. So in a situation where you would have an exponent to an exponential number. So if I were to have the problem, get my pen on here. So if I were to have the problem like this, 4, I know I'm in red or yellow, 4 to the 6th power, and that's in parentheses, and then outside of that I have to the 3rd. Instead of adding those exponents, you are going to multiply them. So that becomes 4 to the 6 times 3. So that would be 4 to the 18th power. Okay? So when you multiply, when you add, when you're multiplying a base times the same base, you're multiplying when you find a power of a power. Okay? Now, lastly, to find the power of a product, you find the power of each factor and then you multiply. So if you have a situation like the situation that's given here, you have 3 times 2 to the 5th power. You separate that to 3 to the 5th times 2 to the 5th. Okay? So, and that's only when you are multiplying here. And you don't see that a ton, but you might see it like this with algebra, where you have A, B together, and that whole thing is squared. So that becomes A squared plus B squared, or times, sorry, not plus, times B squared. Okay? Okay. So in this lesson really isn't too difficult. In this lesson, you're going to be finding the powers of numbers. And if, again, to review, if the power is the same base, if the base is the same, you add the exponents. If you're finding a power of a power, you multiply. And if you're doing a product and then it's to the power, you separate them and do the exponents separately. So in this first example, it's the same thing we've been doing. They give an example of 2 to the 4th power times 2 to the 5th power. So you would add those exponents, 4 plus 5, to get 2 to the 9th. And then you would solve it if it asks you to solve it. If it asks you to solve it, you solve it. So if I have a -5 times a -5 to the 6th power, it's the -5 to the 1st times -5 to the 6th, which is 1 plus 6. So if you have a number 6 and there's no exponent there, and you're multiplying that times 6 to the 3rd, that means 6 to the 1st plus, the 3rd. So that would be 6 to the 4th. Okay? That's what it's essentially telling you. So remember, if it's just a number, it's automatically to the power of 1. Okay? Okay, then when you're finding a power of a power, now this is where you're multiplying. So you have 3 to the 4th, and that whole thing in parentheses is to the 3rd. That means 3 to the 4th times the 3rd. So that equals 3 to the 12th. Okay? That's what that means. And then the last example is when you're finding a power of a product. So if you have 2 times x cubed, that means 2 cubed times x cubed. Now the benefit of that is, this is a perfect example, you would separate those because you can solve 2 cubed, but you can't solve x cubed because you don't know what x is. Okay? And you will see that a lot in algebra. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is pause your computer, and I would like you to do number 1, and I would like you to do number 4, and I would like you to do number 7. 1, 4, and 7, and then come back when you're done. Okay, so when we're doing powers of products, in each one of these is a perfect example of a different type of problem. So if I have 6 squared times 6 to the 4th, that's 6 to the power of 2 plus 6, plus 4, sorry. And that equals then 6 to the 6th power. Okay, and it tells you to simplify, not solve, so you would just do that. You would simplify. You wouldn't have to solve it. Okay, the next problem is 4 to the 3rd, or 4 to the 4th to the 3rd power. So that's 4. That means 4 to the 4th times 3. So that's going to be 4 to the 12th power. Okay? And then again, it's simplifying, not solving, not evaluating, so you wouldn't do that. And then the last problem is the power of the product. So that's 5. That's going to be 5 to the 4th times y to the 4th. Okay? And that's important because you want to make sure that you have, you can separate those. And then if you want to solve, it's simplifying, you got to bring it down to your lowest terms. So 5 to the 4th power is 625, and it's y to the 4th. Okay? Okay. If you got those right, move on. If not, you should rewatch. Okay? Then sometimes you're going to have situations where this is a word problem, where you're simplifying an expression from a word problem. So it says a gigabyte of a computer storage space is 2 to the 30th bytes. The details of the computer are shown. How many bytes of total storage space does the computer have? So in this situation, you would take 2 to the 30th, like they have here, and multiply that times 2 to the 6th. The total number of bytes is the number of bytes in a gigabyte, and then the number of times the number of gigabytes, because it tells you that you have 16 gigabytes. So that's how much free space you have. Okay? And that's how you would figure that out. So then you'd add those exponents, and it's 2 to the 36th power. Okay. Let's jump down to your practice problems. I want you to do for tomorrow. I would like you to do number 3. I would like you to do let's try number 9. And then I would also like you to do number 17. 3, 9, and 17. Bring those back completed for tomorrow.